show us God's. There's a whole teaching that I'm working on about this, where I'm going to talk about this true nature of God that Jesus came to show us. The basis is this, John 1:18. No one has ever seen God. The only God, that's Jesus, who is at the Father's side, in the Father's bosom, the only begotten of the Father, who is also God, God from God. He has made him known. That word for making him known is to explain. That Jesus came to explain the Father. That Jesus came to show us who the Father is. And Jesus declares here that he is the number one authority in showing us who God truly is, because Jesus came from the Father's bosom. Jesus knows the Father more than Isaiah, more than Moses, more than Abraham, more than anybody else. Jesus knew the Father. And so when Jesus comes and tells us about the Father, Jesus' opinion of God is heavier, much, much, much infinitely heavier than Moses' opinion of the Father. Jesus's explanation of the Father is much heavier than Abraham's explanation of the Father, or David's explanation, or Noah's explanation, or even Adam's explanation. Jesus is the number one authority in telling us who the Father is. He's the number one authority on the knowledge of God, is Jesus. So when Jesus comes and begins to show us that God is love, that God is shepherd, that God is daddy, that God is mommy, we take that opinion of Jesus and it becomes the highest opinion we have of God. You know, I'm saying a lot here that is so heavy. But the way that Jesus reveals God to us, we take that revelation, that explanation of Jesus, and it becomes the heaviest opinion, the heaviest explanation of God that we have. The heaviest doctrine on God is who Jesus reveals, which means that the opinion of Moses, or let us say the revelation of Moses, is below. The revelation of David is below. How Isaiah reveals God to be is below. How Jeremiah reveals God to be is below. How Jesus reveals God to be is number one. And Jesus shows us that more than anything else, God is daddy, his love. God is mommy, his love, his Yahweh, our beloved. And Jesus shows us that's who God truly is. Hallelujah.